Do you remember going to the movie theaters to watch The Godfather? And did you sit around the TV watching Fred and Lamont Sanford as they tried to sell a porcelain figure in the first episode of Sanford and Son? Believe it or not, this was 50 years ago. That's right, many of your favorite films and TV shows are turning 50 in 2022. Let's talk about all these classic films and TV shows turning 50. The Bob Newhart Show. The first iteration of The Bob Newhart Show was a short-lived variety show released in 1961. But the version we all remember was the Bob Newhart Show sitcom that first reached our TV screens on September 16, 1972. The show followed Dr. Bob Hartley, a Chicago-based psychologist, as he juggled his home life and career. It co-starred Suzanne Pleshette as his sarcastic but loving wife, Emily. The show ran from 1972 to 78 and had 142 episodes over 6 seasons. It was a lighthearted comedy, noted for its excellent writing and quick wit. Even 50 years later, it's still seen as a modern show because of the acting and its themes. It's only the aesthetics that seem stuck in time. The chemistry between Bob Newhart and Suzanne Pleshette made them one of the most popular TV couples of all time. In fact, the producers decided to pair the two after seeing their natural chemistry when they were both guests on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. The characters became so popular they even made guest appearances outside the Bob Newhart Show. Dr. Larry Dykstra was another psychologist on the show, and he was played by Bill Daly. Dr. Dykstra made an appearance on the show Alf, and in that episode, Alf mentions that he learned about psychology by watching the Bob Newhart Show. Bob Newhart reprised his role as Dr. Hartley on shows like SNL and Murphy Brown. He and Suzanne Pleshette also hosted CBS at 75 as the Hartleys in 2002. It's been 50 years, but the Bob Newhart Show looks like it's going to live on for many years. It's arguably one of the funniest American sitcoms, and its lighthearted approach to life makes one reminisce about simpler times. Before we tell you more about the classic films and TV shows turning 50 in 2022, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to Facts Verse if you haven't already. Sanford and Son. Sanford and Son hit our screens January 14, 1972. The first episode was called Cross Swords, and it immediately introduced us to the loving but often tempestuous relationship between junkyard owner Fred G. Sanford and his son Lamont. The show, created by Norman Lear and starring Red Fox and Damon Wilson, was one of the most popular American sitcoms featuring a predominantly black American cast. It was also one of the funniest sitcoms America has ever produced. The show ran for 6 seasons from 1972 to 77 for 136 episodes. It helped catapult Red Fox to stardom, as he was known primarily before that for his stand-up. It also gave opportunities to many other talented black entertainers. LaWanda Page got her start with Sanford and Son as Aunt Esther. Paul Mooney and Richard Pryor wrote a few of the episodes. Puerto Rican actor Gregory Sierra and Japanese-American actor Pat Morita also got their start on the show. The show also had a few special guest stars, including Della Reese, B.B. King, George Foreman, and Lena Horne. While the show was a lighthearted comedy, very different from Red Fox's legendary blue humor, there were quite a few episodes that weren't afraid to be bold. In the first season, we see and hear Fred's prejudice towards the Chinese when Lamont decides to take him to a Chinese restaurant for his birthday. Fred also didn't hold back when making remarks about white, Hispanic, and Japanese Americans. He also wasn't afraid to make fun of his own race. That's actually part of the charm of Sanford and Son and much of the classic TV shows from the 70s. They weren't afraid to be politically incorrect and tackle the real issues people faced. 50 years later, people will still watch Sanford and Son, and will expect they'll watch it for another 50 at least. MASH. The film MASH turned 50 in 2020, and now it's time for the hit TV series to celebrate half a century. The show followed a mobile army surgical hospital based in South Korea during the Korean War. It had a great ensemble of actors, including Alan Alda as Captain Hawkeye Pierce, which became one of his most famous roles. The show was a mix of drama and dark comedy. It managed to depict the harsh lives of soldiers battling in the Korean War, as well as the army doctors and medical staff who treated them. Many of the early episodes focused on comedy with occasional hints of drama. As the series progressed, this changed to focusing mainly on the drama with occasional hints of comedy. It's important to note the show was airing during the Vietnam War. As the war ended, the show began moving away from its political undertones. It had a laugh track which creator Larry Gelbart wasn't too fond of. But CBS insisted and the laugh track stayed, although it wasn't always there when MASH was aired overseas like in the UK. The show's finale was on February 28, 1983, and was 2.5 hours long. The series finale, Goodbye, Farewell, and Amen, broke the record for being the most watched TV episode in American history. At the time, approximately 83.3 million homes in America had TV sets. The finale was directed by Alan Alda, who had served as one of the writers for the episode as well. It drew nearly 106 million viewers. And to give you an idea of how big that is, the population of the U.S. in 1983 was just over 236 million. To this day, MASH remains one of the most influential shows in American history. Maude. On September 12, 1972, American audiences were introduced to Maude Findlay. Well, not quite. The character, played by B. Arthur, first made appearances on a few episodes of All in the Family. Maude was a popular sitcom that depicted the changing liberal attitudes that soon became a part of mainstream America. The show ran for 6 seasons and had 141 episodes. The final episode aired April 22, 1978. The show was praised for using humor to discuss many challenging issues. These included civil rights, gender equality, feminism, abortion, alcoholism, and drug use. One of the most controversial episodes was Maude's Dilemma, a 2-part episode where Maude learns that at age 47, she's pregnant. She ponders whether she should have an abortion. The episode premiered 2 months before the Roe v. Wade Supreme Court decision in the USA. It was one of the most challenging episodes and remains controversial due to the issues it focuses on. Nevertheless, this was a testament to the writers and actors of the 70s. They weren't afraid to create intelligent TV shows that challenged audiences. The character of Maude was often mocked as a knee-jerk liberal, as the show was seen as a sharp contrast to the conservative attitudes that Archie Bunker promoted in All in the Family. Maude remains one of the most popular TV shows of all time. Now turning 50, perhaps it's time for a new generation to discover the show. A few classic films. The Godfather was released in 1972 and became a huge hit almost immediately. To this day, it's considered one of the greatest films ever made. It features one of Marlon Brando's best-known roles as Don Vito Corleone. It's also the film that gave Al Pacino his big break as Michael Corleone. 72 is also the year in which one of the funniest films starring Woody Allen was released. Though not directed by him, Play It Again, Sam features Woody in one of his funniest roles as a hapless writer trying to find love. His co-star is Diane Keaton, with whom he starred many times throughout his career. Diane Keaton, of course, was also in The Godfather. And who can forget the famous dueling banjos scene? Deliverance turns 50 in 2022. This was perhaps the film that launched Burt Reynolds to stardom and remained one of his favorite films. The film also starred Jon Voight, Ned Beatty, and Ronnie Cox. It depicted 4 friends trying to survive in America's countryside, never far from the prying eyes of hillbillies. It was controversial for its violence and depiction of Americans from Appalachia. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think films and TV were better in the 70s? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Facts Verse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.